Hello everybody, what is going on? Mr. Gaming here, and today I have something a little bit different for you guys. Instead of reviewing armor or weapons or something like that, I am going to be helping you guys and giving you tips on how to manage your work, school, and play schedules. Now, personally, I go to work and I go to school, and I like to make these videos. So I'm going to be telling you guys how I manage doing so, and maybe instead of making videos, you guys can just apply the time that I take to do that. You guys can apply that to your own life and have some more free time in your lives. So the first thing I'm going to tackle is school. Now, I am a full-time student, but I do take less courses than the average full-time student. So I'm taking 12 credit hours, which is, I think that's about 13, at max about 13 hours of in-class time per week, at least at my university. And so for every class that you're taking, you're supposed to be doing at least 2 hours outside of class, like 2 hours of studying per class outside of class, which to me is just kind of ridiculous. That is just too much to expect from us. Now the next thing I'll be tackling is work. I work 18 to 22 hours a week depending on the shifts. I am a waiter, so my work hours are generally, actually at my restaurant, they're generally pretty steady and predictable. But you know, sometimes, but at most restaurants, if you're working in retail or if you're working at restaurants or something like that, where you're not really sure when you're gonna get out because it all depends on customers or clients leaving the facilities, then it can get a little bit weird. Especially if you're working at like a bar where you're open till 2 in the morning, that's just going to be an impediment in your work, and you're gonna say, how can I manage work and school and yada yada yada. So today I'm just going to bring you guys a few tips on how I personally manage my schedules, how I break up my study time, how I basically operate. Now, the first tip I have for you guys is to put yourselves on a schedule. Take a moment, just take a moment. It's very simple. Everybody knows their own schedules unless it's like the change of a new semester. Figure that out, and then take a moment, map out your schedule. Do you have classes on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays? Do you have classes Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays? Like what's happening with your classes? Because everything right now should be revolving around school. I'm not saying it has to, but for me that's just what is that's just priority in my life right now. So my life kind of revolves around school right now. I personally go to classes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right? So that's my school schedule. And then figure out your work schedule. Try to make it as consistent as possible. And what I mean by that is try to keep your days the same from week to week. If your work schedule constantly gets jumbled up, then it's going to be very hard to predict when you're going to have time to be able to do work, like schoolwork, or be able to see friends and such. So for me, I keep my work days Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. Thursday nights, all day Saturday, and then all day Sunday. So what I have is I go to school Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I go to work Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. That leaves me with Tuesday all the way open, and then I have free days, or not free days, but free time after school and Tuesday. I don't really have free time during Saturday and like during my weekends whatsoever, so I completely void those days. Those days are just completely gone. I don't even do homework on those days just because I'm at work literally all day. So that's my schedule. So Monday through Friday is basically when I'm going to be working on schoolwork and balancing my playtime. So that is tip number one. Just get a schedule, write it down for yourself, and see how much time you really have. Because a lot of students do get in this zone where they sit down to do homework. They don't want to do the homework, and then they'll just sit there playing on their phone or just looking at their work for a half hour, an hour, and just be like, oh my gosh, I don't have any more time to do this, you know, etc. so forth. So you really need to schedule your time. And the second tip I have for you is to, instead of just looking at your phone and looking at your homework, you need to do your homework. Now that sounds very simple. I know that sounds very simple. And did you just, Mr. C, did you just insult my intelligence? No, I didn't, because this is a problem that I have as well. Is that I will sit down to do work, and then I will just look at my work, and I'll be like, you know what, I'm bored, I'm gonna play video games or watch TV or go out. I'm not interested in doing the work, but I'm telling you guys, the second that you guys sit down and actually just apply your brain to what you're working on, it is you get in a zone and you'll get tired. Maybe I get tired, but you'll get in a zone and you will start working on your work. Now, how can you do this? How can you get in the zone? How can you just sit down and dedicate? I usually like to dedicate an hour of just an hour at a time to homework, and then I'll take a break. But how can you do that? How can you just sit down and just start? Well, just think of your day in advance. Once you have your schedule out, pick a time. Pick a time that you want to work. Pick a time where you think your brain will be the most capable of putting in a solid hour of work. And so what I do is I essentially have my schedule that I essentially have my aforementioned schedule, and at the same time I don't generally pick a specific time every single day to start working. But what I do is that I know just somewhere in my day I am going to start working. This is what is going to happen, and my brain is prepared for that study session that day. It's just automatically prepared. Your human body is amazing. It just prepares itself for most things. It's great. So my brain is automatically prepared for studying on that day. So how can you get into, so I don't think I really answered the question of how can you just sit down, get in the zone, and just put in an hour of work. Well, have your work, distribute your work out in front of you. Choose one subject. Do not clutter your desk or your work area. Just choose one subject with those specific materials, those books, those notebooks, some pens, some pencils, whatever you got. One subject. Stick to that subject. Take your phone, place it at least 2 arms lengths away from you. So if you go off, I don't know if it's just me, but when my phone goes off and it's just away from me, most of the time I'm too lazy to go and check because I know it's probably an email, to be completely honest with you. I really don't have friends checking up on me that much, so it's probably an email and I can just easily ignore it. But so yeah, so put your phone at least 2 arms lengths away from you. Inconvenience yourself to the point where getting your phone is just too much of a disturbance to what you're doing immediately. So you're going to have one subject on your desk, and your phone's going to be too far away that it's going to completely interfere with your work ethic. It's going to completely interfere with your plans, and you're just not even going to want to do it. So that is my tip for getting in the zone. Now, what are the lengths that you should study for, and how do I study? Actually, I'll just do that. How do I study? I study in 1 hour chunks. I will sit down with the one subject and my phone away from me, and I will study that or read the book I have to read or do whatever, and I will do that for 1 hour, and I will apply myself vigorously for 1 hour. And then I will take a break. I set a timer on my phone that's away from me, and I will take a break. I set the timer for 1 hour. When that phone goes off, I get up, I relax, I play some games, I just decompress. I contextualize the information I just read. I digest what I just studied. You need a break because your brain can't handle so much information at a time. You need to study in chunks. That is a real thing that your teachers have always told you to do, but you've always ignored it, just like me. So that is a real thing, and I'm telling you guys, it does help. So when that phone goes off, when the timer runs down, take a break. You studied for an hour. You studied hard for an hour. And now you're going to play hard for an hour or an hour and a half, however long you really want to. I don't recommend going above 2 hours with that break. I usually take a break for only an hour, hour and a half, and then I choose either the same subject or a different subject. I like choosing the same subject just because I digested the information that I previously was doing, and that I can just jump right back into it easier. And the other thing is, if you are going to change subjects, try to keep it on the same wavelength. And what I mean by that is, if you're reading history, go to English homework or something like that. Or if you're studying biology, choose your math homework. So that's what I do. I prioritize. I have a schedule. And it's very important to know your schedule. So know it like the back of your hand, so you know when you have this free time. And then sit down with one subject at a time, and then put your phone off in the distance, set a timer for an hour, and do that. So that's good regarding school. Now I'm going to be specifically addressing my job and how that plays into my week. And now I already told you guys that I work Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. Specifically, I work the evening shift on Thursday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. Now when I'm talking all day Saturday, I'm literally talking from like 11 to 11. So it's all day Saturday. I think I get like 30 minutes to an hour break in between shifts. But nonetheless, the break really does not. It's not enough to work on schoolwork or anything. It's really enough to go get some food and come back and maybe just sit for some minutes before I have to start doing side work again. Now, I do work at a restaurant, and I do work about half-time, 18 to 22 hours a week, as aforementioned. Now, the key with your job is to find a job that is willing to work around your school schedule. Now, easier said than done, but not really. See, your employer will only take advantage of you as much as you let them in most cases. Now, there are some bosses and some employers that really just have no tolerance for missing days of work or not being available often. Now, from my personal experience, I usually am I'm only given as many shifts as I tell them I can work. If they schedule me for a shift that I didn't say I could say, I go to my boss and I say, hey, what's this? I didn't say I could work this. I'm not showing up that day because I probably have school that day. Like, it just can't happen. So then so your employer will test their boundaries with you. They're going to see if they can get away with putting you on an extra shift, or if they can get away with working you a little later than when you're supposed to get out. They're going to see if they can get away with that, and if they can, if you let them, they are going to take advantage of you. Don't let yourselves be taken advantage of. That is a serious thing that you have to establish with your bosses and with your coworkers alike, but mostly with your bosses, that you are not there to be their you're not there to be their slave. Okay? So establish yourself as somebody whose first priority is school, and that this is definitely a second priority thing. See, my boss knows that I go to school, and my boss knows to ask me my schedule before he puts me on. Now, my boss is admittedly very, I'm not going to say lenient, but he is very conscious when it comes to people going to school and how important that is. So I do luck out in the sense that he asks me, but definitely tell your boss what days you're available. If you don't tell him or her your availability, then they will decide your availability. And so tell them your availability, because if you don't, they'll make it, and if you have school on one day, then they're going to be mad at you because you failed to tell them what you were willing to work. So tell them. If they overstep their boundaries, tell them again, and tell them to find somebody else for the shift, because that's just not going to work for you. Now, some people are living on your own. If you're living on your own and you have a boss that's very intolerant and you're also going to school, you're going to have to do one thing that is really not as hard as it seems, and it is finding a new job. Now, everybody dreads finding a new job. I still do. I don't think finding a new job is very hard, and I still dread it. So this is very simple. This is actually very simple, and I'm going to tell you how, in the sense that really it's just me not wanting to put the effort into finding a new job. I'm telling you, that is mostly what it is I don't want to put the effort in. So, but how to overcome that is you just got to pick up a newspaper. If you don't subscribe to a newspaper, pick up your neighbor's newspaper. Ask them beforehand, obviously, can I just see the classifieds. So take the classified section of the newspaper, or you can look online. I never really had too much luck online, but there's a classified section in the newspaper where it's just job offerings, help wanted, job open, call a place. That's all they want you to do, is to call and to apply. That's all they want you to do. And you can easily put in your 2 weeks and make a smooth transition in. You don't have to kiss your new employer's butt for long, so just put in your 2 weeks. Make sure you have the next job first, but put in your 2 weeks where you're at, and then make an easy transition into your next job. And if that next job doesn't work out, just do the same thing. Just do the same thing. It shouldn't be that hard. If it is, I'm sorry if I feel like if you feel like I'm being condescending at all. I truly don't mean to be, but that is my best experience into finding bosses and jobs that are willing to accommodate my situation. Again, I'm not living on my own. I am living at home, and I do have pretty stable employment at my restaurant right now, and I'm not even looking to get a new job. But what I'm telling you is that is how I have successfully found a job to work around my school schedule, right? Ever since I was 16 and still in high school, I had an executive chef. I used to work as a dish boy in a banquet hall. Executive chef would constantly try to get me to come into work. Every single time he asked me to work more, I always had to say, no, sir, this is my schedule. This is what I told you. And this just can't happen, because sometimes he wanted me to leave high school early, as if I was allowed to like sign myself out or something like that. It was the craziest thing so I had to tell him, and eventually he did fire me. But after the season was over, it was a banquet hall. It was seasonal work as it was. But eventually I did get fired, which was fine. I was just in high school, but you just gotta set your boundaries, and that's how you gotta handle your work time. Now I'm going to be addressing your playtime, and really, I don't really need to do this, because all playtime is the difference between school, work, and the rest of your available hours. Your playtime, you can do whatever you want. But the best way I've found to manage your playtime is to do what I do with school, is to sit down, plug in a solid hour of work, take a break, put in another solid hour of work, etc., so forth, rinse and repeat, and whatever. Your work schedule, personally, I can't really relate to somebody who's on a constant, different shift every week. I would try to stop that as soon as possible. I work Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. I know that's my work schedule. I know that's what I can expect. So try to get on a routine with your work so you don't have to play guessing games with your boss and everything constantly. And then the difference between, so you add up your school, add up your work, you don't actually have to do this, but school and work, and then the difference between the rest of the week and the school plus work is your playtime, right? So your playtime, watch TV, do your Netflix. I like Hulu personally. It has Rick and Morty on it. Did I say play video games? Yeah, play video games, watch TV. Go out with friends. Please, dear God, go out with friends, because if you don't, you might get a little bit depressed that you're only sitting at screens, and that is a real thing, just so you know. So go out with friends to see a movie. It's different. Okay, I know I just said sitting at screens is weird, so it is different going out to see a movie with a friend instead of just watching a movie by yourself at home, because at least have some social interaction and you're in public, right? So there is a difference, at least in my opinion. I have no scientific backing, but nonetheless, go out with friends, see somebody other than your family, unless you really, really love your family, which more power to you. I really love my family too, but boy, I do need to see a friend sometimes, man. So yeah, do whatever you want with your free time. It's all up to you, but you have to make sure that you can confidently say that, yes, I put in a solid effort into my schoolwork, and that my work schedule, I know when I'm going to work all the time. I know what's happening with that. Again, I focused on schoolwork, so I have to be able to confidently say to myself, yes, I put in solid effort into my schoolwork this study session. And if I can't say that, maybe I will omit going out a little bit, and I will put in another 30 minutes or something, just to not feel as guilty of ignoring my schoolwork. And I will just go out and read my book for another 30 minutes, good 30 minutes, and then I'll go out or something like that. I'll just postpone the playtime. I'm not going to have as much playtime, and it was totally my fault. Definitely be able to confidently say that you put in solid schoolwork, put in solid study time, you know when you're going to work, and now you have all the playtime in the world. Well, as much as your school and work allow. So that's how I manage my stuff. So quick overview of everything. Put yourself on a schedule, get your priorities straight. Don't let your boss treat you like a chew toy, I guess, is the best analogy I can come up with off the top of my head. But don't let your boss just throw you under the bus. I'm not saying establish power over him, but don't let him push you around. Do not let him or her push you around and bully you into doing things that you don't want to or can't do. Put yourself on a schedule. Study for an hour, take a break for an hour, study for another hour, etc. so forth. And then guys, you can go ahead and play. So personally, what I do is I'm just gonna go over my personal schedule is Monday morning, Wednesday morning, Friday morning I have school. Also on Wednesday I have a night class, so I can't work whatsoever Wednesday, obviously, right? So Monday morning, all day Wednesday, Friday morning is school. Thursday evening for me is work. All day Saturday, all day Sunday are both work days, right? So after school Monday, all day Tuesday, after school on Friday, and then Thursday morning I have free time. This is time to study, and this is time to play, right? Work days are just work days. I don't try to mix school and work days too much except Thursday. But yeah, so that's my schedule. I hope there was something that I said that can apply to your guys' life and something that you guys can take away. And I really hope I didn't bore you. I know I'm talking about work and school, but these are just things that I feel that a lot of students have trouble with. Me still somewhat being one of them, even though I'm trying to help you guys with this. I hope there's something I said that that can apply to your guys' life, and I will see you all next class.
Reloading! Keep them busy! They're taking Charlie! All positions in enemy hands! Capturing Charlie. Closing with Charlie. Closing with Beta. Anti-aircraft salvo commenced. Clearing the skies. Coordinates confirmed. Firing on target. Clearing Beta. Securing Charlie. C captured. They're taking Charlie! Enemy capturing Charlie! Grenades first! Pull back. Prepare to counterattack.